Welcome to The Explainer. Today, we're going to borrow a really powerful idea from the world of data centers to completely change how you think about your work. We're going to talk about how to stop overloading the single most important server you'll ever have, you.
So let's start with this simple but kind of profound idea. If you're a freelancer, an entrepreneur, or really just driving your own work, your entire operation is running on one single server, and that's you. Every single request, every task, all the pressure, it all hits one single point. And just like any server, you have a capacity limit. When this endless flood of requests, tasks, emails, meetings, just keeps hitting you without any system in place, what happens? You slow down, you become unstable, and eventually you crash. We call this burnout. And it's not a personal failure, it's a system failure.
But in the world of technology, they have this really elegant solution for this problem. It's called a load balancer. And its whole job is to intelligently manage all that incoming traffic. So this raises a really powerful question. What if you could install a personal load balancer for your own life? Something that could actually manage your workflow and stop you from crashing. Now, this isn't just some cool metaphor. It's a real 4-step system. It's built on the exact same principles that keep the entire internet up and running, but it's designed to stop you from crashing. It's about knowing your limits, sorting your tasks, matching your work to your energy, and, this is key, constantly adjusting.
All right, step one. A load balancer doesn't just guess how much its servers can handle, it measures it with precision. So to manage your workload, you gotta do the same thing and figure out what your true capacity actually is.
And let's be super clear here. We are not talking about the number of hours you spend sitting at your desk. We're talking about your capacity for that cognitively demanding, distraction-free concentration. The kind of work that actually moves the needle and creates new value. So, what's the magic number? Well, research from experts like Cal Newport and the productivity researcher Anders Ericsson, it shows that for most of us, the practical ceiling for true deep work is right around 4 hours a day. Not 8, not 10, 4. Now this slide is where it gets really interesting because it shows this huge gap. We spend 8, maybe more, hours working, but our peak productive capacity is only about half of that. So what does that mean? It means most of our day is spent on something else entirely. That something else is what Cal Newport calls shallow work. The logistical stuff that keeps things running but doesn't really create significant new value. And honestly, knowing the difference between these two is the absolute key to managing your capacity. So, okay, once you know your true capacity, the next step is to prioritize. A load balancer uses a set of rules to decide which traffic gets to go first, because, let's face it, not every request is equally important. This simple matrix, you might have heard it called the Eisenhower matrix. This is your priority queue. High impact, urgent stuff that gets done right now. High impact but not so urgent, you schedule that. You protect time for it in your valuable deep work blocks. This system makes sure that your very limited capacity gets spent on what truly matters. Think about it. A well-run system doesn't do its heavy maintenance during peak traffic hours, right? It waits until things are quiet. In the same way, you shouldn't be trying to do your most demanding, deep work when your energy and focus are at their absolute lowest. The writer Paul Graham explains this perfectly. He says people who make things, writers, programmers, designers, they need long, uninterrupted blocks of time. An hour here or there just doesn't cut it. You can't get into that deep state of focus. He calls this the maker's schedule. Yeah, this probably looks painfully familiar to a lot of you. This is a reactive day. It's driven by what Graham calls the manager's schedule of constant meetings and interruptions. And you can see how shallow work just constantly fragments any attempt to get deep, focused work done. Now compare that chaos to this. This is a designed day. You create a protected maker's schedule, usually in the morning when your brain is at its sharpest, for your high-impact deep work. Then you batch all the shallow stuff, like emails and meetings, into other time windows. Okay, final step. A load balancer isn't a set-it-and-forget-it kind of thing. It's constantly monitoring the system's health in real time and making adjustments. For you, this doesn't have to be complicated at all. It's just a simple weekly review. Just set aside 15 minutes, maybe every Friday, for this feedback loop. By asking what worked, what didn't, and why, you start to see patterns. And that's how you make your personal load balancer smarter for the week ahead. So how do you put this into practice, like right now? Let's end with a quick diagnostic check. 3 simple but really powerful questions to check the health of your personal server. First question, and you gotta be honest with yourself here, not what you wish it was, but what does the data say? What is your real measurable capacity for deep work? Next, look back at your calendar and your to-do list for this week. Were you spending that limited, high-value energy on the tasks that actually move the needle for you, or was it all just noise? And finally, think about that first hour of your workday. Are you protecting your peak brain power for your most important work, or are you just giving it away to check emails and react to everybody else's priorities? So the ultimate takeaway here is this. The goal isn't to work longer or harder. It's to work smarter by treating yourself like your critical infrastructure. It's time to stop overloading the single most important server you will ever manage. If this framework for thinking about your work was helpful, do us a favor and be sure to like, follow, and maybe share this explainer with someone else you know who feels like their server is about to crash. Thanks for watching.